All right. So my name is Shelby, and I will be presenting a pitch of a television series that I've actually been working on for a long time. Um, this is really special to me because my first tattoo, right here, says "Sorry Sunshine" with cherries on it. And one of the first characters I ever created was a sort of like a spoof of a this band called My Chemical Romance. They had this concept album of killjoys, and it was like this desert themes thing, and they were just trying to rebel against like this whole evil corporation and stuff. And it was very like very stylistic, and I fell in love with it, so I made my own fan fiction. And one of the first characters I ever created as a writer, that was her signature characteristic, was this tattoo. And recently, I've actually been re-exploring that character, and I actually have come up with. I've been working on a very big series. Working title right now is called Nova. Um, it's basically a 1 hour drama. It has like kind of the same feel of the worlds of Blade Runner and Altered Carbon, but has a similar look to that of Westworld. If I had to put a Netflix queue on it, I would say all of those would definitely be on there, and probably also the 100. But yeah, my logline is in a futuristic, post-apocalyptic society controlled by the elite, a rebel turned bounty hunter risks everything to return home to solve a deadly riddle. Um, So essentially, like I see it, the pilot opening up with sort of like an information, like if this takes place in the future. So I'd say it would be like 2058, 2070 something. But in this world, like the world is not what it used to be. After years of solar flare damage, pollution, natural disasters, war, civil war, it's kind of hard to determine what destroyed everything, the Earth or society. But the elite, the rich, now control everything. They have their own society and their own city. Basically, giant domes were constructed years ago to protect humanity from an unlivable planet. Transportation between cities is through the underground, but no one that is not elite is allowed to travel into the elite cities, and absolutely no one is permitted outside of the domes. And absolutely no one is allowed or permitted to harm anyone that is part of the elite. The elite is allowed to do and take who and what they want without consequence. The Vipers are basically like the police task force that the elite own. The Vipers are the one who keep order and keep people in line. Once someone becomes a Viper, though, they're no longer their own person. They're property. Some families will sell their children to the elite to become Vipers in order to survive. They are exceptionally like lethal and pretty much lack any human empathy. But our story starts with a young woman named Nova. So I'd see it opening up with a young girl is covered in filth and rags. She walks up to people selling things on the street. She snatches food while the vendors aren't paying attention, kind of like a street rat. She's practically invisible, but she notices something shiny, a pocket watch. So she pickpockets a man in a suit. And then nightfall hits. She is examining the watch. There's a symbol on it. Suddenly, she hears a child's voice scream, "Snakes!" So she gets up and runs, sticking to the shadows. Other children are snatched. They basically are going to become vipers because that's how some that's what they do to some children, like especially orphans that are on the street. They'll snatch them and train them to be vipers. But she barely makes it out until someone grabs her and picks her up. Now, the next day, she wakes, but she is no longer on the streets. She is sitting in a room. A man walks in, the one she stole from. He asks her name. She doesn't reply. He asks if she took his watch. She doesn't say a word. He gives her a chocolate bar. She looks at it, but she refuses to grab it. He takes note of this. She asks if he is a snake. He laughs, shaking his head. She finally says that she doesn't know her name. He says that she is strong, and he gives her a name, Nova. He says that his name is Wesley. Now, Wesley is an old man who is one of the founders of the rebellion. She, along with other orphan children, were rescued from the streets and raised to be warriors. Years pass, and she is now a teenager. Wesley has a small talk with her, explaining that she has always been one of his shining stars and greatest pupils. He directs her on a mission to Aerialite, which is in another dome next to theirs. He states that he is about to uncover something big, something that the elite has been hiding, something that would change the world and everything. But he wants her to inquire on a lead for him before he tells her anything more. She leaves for Aerolite, but as she starts traveling home after hitting a dead end, something happens. She is walking down a tunnel, but people are screaming and running towards Aerolite. She steps back, and then a fire surges. A hand grabs hers, pulling her towards Aerolite, but she looks at the fire and then cut to black. Then we jump 4 years later. Nova is walking into a crowded bar. She is noticed by several. She's wearing her signature outfit, which is a blue leather jacket, two pistols, one labeled Sorry, the other one labeled Sunshine, strapped to her thighs, and a bandana. She heads for the bar where Freak, the local scummy bartender, almost jumps out of his skin when he sees her. He states that she is supposed to be dead. She should not be an Aerolite. She tells him that she needs a favor for him to deliver a message. He refuses, but she slips him party poison, a glowing green crystal drug distributed amongst the cities by the elite as a form of control over the population. He snatches it, and suddenly Vipers barge in. A shootout starts. Nova wins the fight. She, for a second, smiles, then shoots up towards the ceiling, and then she puts something in his hand and leaves, and it's actually a locket. And then we cut to our B storyline, which is Halcyon, that one of the main three cities of the elite. Here it is beautiful, and everyone is basically beautiful as well. The board members of the elite that controls the city is Hermione. She's seductive and very lethal woman. She's very cold, calculative. She is at the penthouse of a glass building, sitting at a desk. She stares at a picture, but her assistant Teresa walks in, interrupting her thoughts. Teresa's more mousy, but she is an assistant. She informs her that there is a problem. Hermione strides twice as fast as Teresa down a long hall. They're heading to what looks to be a security building. They reach a room where several cameras. Hermione rushes to the ones that are focused towards Aerolite. She watches the footage, and it plays up until the smile. Hermione looks venomous, and she says it's definitely her. So this kind of breaks us into Act 2. We're cutting back to Nova's storyline. Nova returns to what looks to be a secret bunker located in a sewer system. As she arrives to a still waiting up Target. Target is a young girl that Nova rescued off the streets shortly after she lost her home. She's taken her under her wing and has taught her the same lessons that Wesley taught her when she was younger. Nova says that she should be asleep, but Nova's bunker is basically full of pictures of small mementos and other things. It kind of almost looks like a crime scene investigation board, as there's pictures of the same symbol that we see in the locket everywhere. As they lay to go to sleep, Nova drifts off telling Target of stories of her old home. In Nova's dreams, there is a chopped memory of the day that her home was destroyed. She's running down a tunnel, but the person who has her hand lets go. She yells, and then she wakes up. Nova and Target get ready to start the day. As Nova heads out from the sewers, she does her rounds with Target. She is wrapped up, her face obscured. She travels and does her rounds, somewhat kind of like a Robin Hood. As she travels the streets, she notices that her face is everywhere, wanted, huge rewards. She makes sure to hold Target close. As they keep going to their destination, and one of it is a black market of sorts. She trades a few dimes for a fresh apple, along with a small keychain of a turtle, while Target is looking at other things. She travels further to the outskirts, finding what she was looking for, a painted symbol, the one that was engraved on the locket. It is tagged on another building, and she takes note. Still not sure what they all mean, possibly a map. She thinks for a second, tracing her fingers into the wall to draw the symbol. She closes her eyes and flashes back to a moment where she was at her old home, and she looks into Brown Eyes, a warm smile, then catches herself, and Target snaps her back. Meanwhile, Hermione is back in her office. She is deep in thought. Suddenly, Cal, her ex-husband, barges in. He is outraged as she has not notified him of what's going on. They discuss what this means, if it means they are all back. Hermione states that they all burn, there should be no survivors. They are already captured or killed anyone else. She has to be the last of Wesley's children. Cal says that if Nova figures out what Wesley did, but Hermione cuts him off. She says that Wesley thought he knew was what Wesley thought he knew was actually nothing, and no one can hide from the elite for too long. Cal tells her to get the situation under control before he's forced to notify the board. Back to Nova, she heads to confer with Jewel, which is basically someone who helped her when she was running away. She explains that Target is going to have to stay with her for a while, and that Jewel better do what she can to keep her safe, and it will be a debt repaid. So Nova heads back down to the bunker with Target. She explains to Target what's going to happen. Um, but it is, she's going to have to stay with Jewel, but it's only temporary. She holds Target hands in hers before she leaves, telling her that she will find obscure ways to contact her. But she says that she has to remember the rules, to only trust Jules, that she cannot take her, but she will watch when Jewel intercepts her at the meeting point. She kisses her forehead and she promises that she will always be safe, and she gives her the fruit and the sea turtle. Nova heads out into the night, wearing her garb. She goes to an abandoned bowling alley and heads into one of the back rooms. She waits. A few moments go by and she keeps the hand holstered, and then the man of the hour, Moondog, an older ex-rebel who left the rebellion before it was destroyed, says that he does not want anything to do with anything, but came here in a amount of respect to Wesley. She says that there are signs all over the city, one of the rebellion's secret tags. She doesn't know what it means, but she needs help. She tells him that Wesley had discovered something big, and that was why the elite destroyed the dome. Moondog says if they doesn't stop, that they'll kill her. She asks if she knows anything of the other survivors and if he will not help her. He gives her an old lead, and she asks him one last question, if he knows anything about Jax at all. Now, Jax was her old love interest that she had grown up training with, and when she was in her old home with Wesley. She was actually with Jax, and that's who ended up letting go of her hand, and they got separated in the blast. But she thinks that he's dead, or she's not sure what exactly happened to him. But Moondog instantly drops the locket in front of her and says that one way or another, they're all ghosts, and to never contact him again. So Nova is on the move back into the city. She's walking towards the spot, the one a safe distance away, where she'll watch Jewel intercept Nova. She's fiddling with the locket, and she pulls out an old photo from her jacket pocket. There's writing on the back, and it is a love note, signed Jax. She flips it, brown eyes, warm smile, the same from the flashback earlier. And then she hears a noise, or shots are heard, a scream. Nova runs, but she is too late. Jules is dead, and a half-eaten piece of fruit lies next to her body. Target is gone. And that brings us into Act 3, which is basically where the whole pilot wraps up. Cale basically steps up to Hermione in the screen room. He says that she really has outdone herself. Hermione replies that everyone can be bought, but not everyone is smart. They watch the screen, and Cale inquires about the young girl. Hermione says that she wants Nova alive, and the only way to catch a wild animal is with bait. Hermione exits, but it turns out the viper escorting her is a blank stare to Jax. So that ends our pilot. I would say a couple log lines for future episodes after this one. One would be Nova starts investigating Target's whereabouts and finds a new ally on the way. Another would be Nova's efforts to rescue Target are sidetracked when an unexpected new rebel group makes their presence known. Hermione starts to take Target under her wing. And then Nova finds a new lead regarding Wesley. Hermione makes a power move on Arrowlight. So essentially, how I see the story arc going, so far with what I have, I'd say Nova ultimately sort of starts to find her way. She learns about her past, where she fits in the grand scheme of things. Ultimately, she finds out what really happened in the past, what Wesley's secret was, and what had happened to him. She figures out that the children of Wesley still exist, but they hid underground and have been living outside the domes. And then she finds out she was actually born into the elite, but she got kidnapped from her world. And she sort of just pieces together who she is and who she wants to be, in this new world. Episode 100, I would say, would pretty much look like, Nova finding her peace. And it would be the birth of a new world where equality exists and people are allowed to go outside and the truth is finally exposed. Yeah, so that was my pitch for my working title series called Nova. And I hope you enjoyed it.